Hi everyone, it's Intang Mayumi. I hope everyone is having a good week. I have 3 Valentine cards for you today using WPlus9 Color My World stamp set. You can use this stamp set all year round and not just for Valentine's Day. I will mount all my images that I will use on my clear blocks, and I'm using my stamping box because it's easier for me to stamp the images on my scraps of watercolor papers. It will be easy also to use Misty or stamping platform if you are using a whole sheet of paper. Just stick all the images on the door of your Misty or stamping platform and stamp at once, and you can stamp again on the same spot. I use VersaFine Onyx Black ink to stamp my images, and I will emboss them with Wow Clear embossing powder and melt the powder with my heat tool. I always preheat my heat tool before using it. This one that I'm using is not as good as the other embossing heat tools in the market, but I will use this one until it breaks before I buy a new one. I use my Daniel Smith watercolor paints to color my images, and I did super simple coloring. I did use one zig marker, and it's the orange color. I colored the paintbrush handles with rainbow colors. For the part that has metal that holds the bristle, I just color it with Sodalite Genuine, and that color is like a gray color. And I did the same thing on the paint tubes. Colored them with rainbow colors on the middle of the tubes and gray color on the rest of the paint tubes. And the same thing with the watercolor palette. After I colored all the images, I fussy cut them off camera and ran my memento black marker on the sides of the images to hide the white part and so it will look finished. I will use one of the pattern paper from this paper pad, and this one is the We Are Memory Keepers metallic paper pad, and I will use the heart pattern. I went ahead and die cut the papers with Gina Marie Design Stitch rectangle die set. I used the largest one to die cut the heart pattern papers, and I also used the second to the largest one to die cut 3 of 140-pound Strathmore watercolor paper. I will stamp my sentiments on my panels, and I'm using my Stamp Perfect so I can stamp a couple of times if I need to. I use VersaFine Onyx Black ink to stamp the sentiments, and I will emboss them with clear embossing powder. You don't have to emboss the sentiments if you don't want to, but I want the sentiments to have a little bit of breaks on the paper. I'm just finishing this last panel here, and I will melt the powders with my heat tool. I use Duochrome Oceanic, and this color is really pretty. It's a subtle color and it has a little bit of shimmer when you apply the color on the paper. I also colored the letters with rainbow colors. For the U word, I use Pyrrole Red, New Gamboge, and Talo Blue Green shade. For the word color, I use Pyrrole Red, Orange Zig Marker, New Gamboge, Sap Green, and Imperial Purple. For the first panel, I adhere the 2 paintbrushes on the back of the watercolor palette, and I will pop them up on the card using foam tape. For the second panel, I will adhere the middle 2 paint tubes with foam tape and adhere the rest of the paint tubes with glossy accents. For the third panel, I arranged the rainbow of paint brushes on the upper part of the panel, and I will use washi tape to hold them together so they can stay in their positions. And so it is easier to add the liquid glue and adhere them back on the panel and remove the washi tape carefully. And now it's time to adhere the panels on the pattern papers with liquid glue. After I'm done adhering them together, I can now adhere them on my card base. And my card base are 110-pound rose petals cardstock from Michaels, cut to 11 by 4 and 1/4, and fold it in half, and it will give you an A2 size card base measures 5.5 by 4 and 1/4 inches. For the inside of the cards, I will adhere the leftover images that I colored. I used two of the watercolor paint palettes on the other two cards and two of the paint tubes on the other card, and just adhere them using liquid glue. And my cards are finished. I had so much fun coloring these rainbow colored images. As always, thank you so much for always watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it. I hope you like today's cards, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye. I have two more Valentine's Day cards that you might like to watch on the side of the screen.